And now the time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for. It's the main card with your man, The Voice. As always, in the opposite corner, my mano Imano, my verbal sparring partner, Philly's finest, stepping out doing his own thing today, not trying to look like me. We'll just run.
All you do is bite my style every day and then hate on me for it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your man, Will Just Ruffin. I'm here. It's smoke o'clock. It's the time that we love the most. I'm here with hater extraordinaire of the year, of the century, the man, the myth, the legend, The Voice. The Voice, how you doing?
Man, I am feeling absolutely fantastic. And you know I got to come with the frogginess because it's smoke o'clock. What do you expect?
I expect that, but we got to stop hating on my style because we know, like, it's cool, Voice. Like, you admire my style. Like, you be like, let me see what Will just is wearing, so I could be as fly as him. But it's impossible.
It's the opposite way, but I'm good with that.
Whatever, ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing show for you all today. We're gonna get into some PFL love here, but before we got to do that, we got to get into these KOs and low blows because we got some big stories and possibly some breaking news depending on where you've been today. So, Voice, let's get into it.
All right, let's do it.
Awesome. Now, we were coming here to talk today about Shakur's masterclass after defeating Teofimo Lopez, and what many saw as another convincing win by Shakur. It may have calmed some of the doubters, but of course, today, maybe a few hours ago, he actually received news that Shakur was stripped of his brand new, I believe it was his WBA title.
No, WBC title.
I'm sorry, WBC title. And there hasn't been much explanation why. So, Voice, I want to get your thoughts not only on the WBC stripping of the stripping of the title, but what did you think about that win this past weekend for Shakur?
Okay, so we'll talk about the stripping, and then we'll talk about the absolute masterclass that he put on at Ring 6. There's so many backstories and subplots to this stripping situation. Now, the WBC said that they exercised their right as an organization to strip him because he held a belt at another weight class for a different promotion. If that happens, then they have the right to strip you, and they did. And a lot of people are like, dude, I mean, the fight just happened and you're already stripping him. Granted, he's already talking about other fights at 140 or moving up to 147. So it makes sense. It just seems, I don't know, just seems like there's something else going on here. And there are a lot of other things that are going on here. One of the things that he said specifically about this situation was $100,000. It's like, $100,000? For what? You're not fighting for the WBC title? Why would they be looking for $100,000? Why are they stripping you when they allow Canelo to carry the belt for all those years and duck Benavidez? Why are they stripping you when they let Deontay Wilder carry that belt for all those years and ducking Dillian White? And as I was doing my research, I think I found out why. It's because of the $100,000. Let me explain. The WBC, when Canelo fought Daniel Jacobs, unified against him, his next fight was not even at a weight class up. It wasn't a super middleweight. It was at light heavyweight for the WBO title, I believe, that Sergey Kovalev held. It was like, wait, well, he didn't get stripped in. Now, granted, Charlo fought for the full title, and this was back in 2019. That was in May of 2019 that he won the title, being Canelo, defended it against Jacobs. In June, Charlo was fighting for the WBC title. Like, well, how is that? And then they didn't strip him when he went up to 170. So, what's all that about? Here's what it's about. In June of that year, just before Charlo fought for the title, Canelo was named franchise champion. And you know what that means? If you fight and you give us some money, you keep that belt, which for Canelo was very wise because there was no guarantee that he was going to beat Kovalev at 2 weight classes higher. As a matter of fact, he was losing that fight until he won, knocking him out in the 11th round. So it made sense to pay the fee so that if he needed to come back, he was still champion. That is the money. This has to be, just based on my research, that's probably the sanctioning fee, that franchise fee that the WBC was trying to get from Shakur for fighting for the ring. And I believe it's either the WBO or WBA title that he fought for. I want to say it was BO that he just won in his fight against Teofimo Lopez. It's like, okay, now this makes sense as to why this $100,000 fee that Shakur keeps talking about gets thrown out. He's like, look, I'd rather give that money to my baby than give it to you all, for this belt. And now he said that he felt like WBC was coming after him because of Bud. Because Bud dropped the title, didn't pay them the sanctioning fees. Like, y'all coming after me because of what happened with Bud. I mean, that's y'all and Bud. That ain't me. But again, if they were trying to get the fee, because that's what the franchise fee allows. You can fight whoever you want to. As long as you kick us down something, then you can hold on to our belt. It is the business of boxing. This is why TKO is able to kind of get a bit of a foothold because of all this tomfoolery that's going on. It's going to be interesting to see how things happen. And I'll say this is especially a bad look for the WBC, as Mauricio Suleiman was on Ariel Helwani's show on Monday, the 3rd of February, not the 3rd, the 2nd of February. And it looked like, or I should say, it didn't go very well for him. People had very negative opinions of him after that. So then 2 days later, to strip Shakur, it's just not looking good for that green belt.
Yeah, I remember us actually having breaking news when Terrence Crawford went on that rant about WBC, and I think the sanctioning fees there for like $300,000.
Yeah.
Eventually something's got to change, because now, like you said, you got TKO, you got Turkey out here with the ring, and it seems like now they're just trying to move WBC out the way, and using this as a reason to do it.
Yeah, well, it definitely helps them in their cause. They're not trying to move WBC out the way. They're trying to, or at least they say they want to move everyone out the way and be the big dog. Even that talk has changed a little bit as of late. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Well, sounds good. We'll definitely provide any kind of details, any updates as things comes along. But Shakur put on an amazing masterclass.
That he did. And what happened on that same day masterfully in Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, was the Royal Rumble, where Roman Reigns won it and got his pick of who to face at WrestleMania for the title, and he chose CM Punk. Now, whenever Roman speaks, people listen. Just before the Rumble, he was on Pat McAfee's show. He was sharing his feelings about the Samoan dynasty. Are they the first family, or I should say that he feels like they're the first family of wrestling? As a current chief in the ring, he had this to say about his limited wrestling schedule due to his increased Hollywood responsibilities and what took place while he was outside of the square circle. I leave an opening and give him plenty of opportunity and space to create. We're 2 years here now. We haven't advanced. We haven't evolved. We have great leadership. I mean, Nick Khan, God bless him, but we have to keep up creative. What do you make of these comments?
I think they were partially kayfabe, but I think there was a lot of truth to it. And I think a lot of times now you're actually seeing WWE, the wrestlers, or Triple H or whoever are leaning more into what is being said online, and this is one of the big things. Now, while Cody has been champion, a lot of people felt like there wasn't a lot of movement or advancement. Now, when Roman was champion with the Bloodline, you saw the advancement of every character there. Solo went on to do great things. Sami Zayn went on to do great things. Both the Usos, Jimmy and Jay went on to become world champion. You saw the advancement there. The argument recently has been there has not been the same type of advancement since Roman lost that title. And you can actually argue that it is the truth. While Cody has been great, it's kind of been the same old story over and over again. And then the issue with people that have with creative is there's so many stars out here that you have and they're not being used and they're not being advanced. And whether we like to admit it or not, the tribal chief is the needle mover. He once had a t-shirt that said, "I'm the needle mover." Well, clearly that's exactly what's going on here. You actually see how business has picked up since he's won the Royal Rumble in just a week. So he's right.
Okay. So when it comes to the creative aspect, are these shots directly at Hunter, or do you think it's for someone else?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the shots are at Hunter and the creative team. You got a chance to see WWE Unreal Season 2. You can see the struggles that the creative team has. And then when you go online, while the IWC sometimes can be out of control, a lot of points were made. I can look at some of the things that happened at the Royal Rumble. Why wasn't Finn Balor featured more? You know what I'm saying? You have so many great wrestlers who are not getting opportunities and you're not seeing them. And you're putting ridiculous people in the Royal Rumble who probably don't need to be there. But I also believe it was a shot at the current locker room. Maybe to spice things up. Maybe to light a fire under some people. Because WWE does have a lot of upcoming stars who should be in these positions. And unfortunately, they're still not there yet 2 years later after Roman has dropped the title and has kind of at least pulled back a little bit from that main event scene.
Okay. Now, you mentioned some of the people that really didn't get moved along. And actually, Roman spoke specifically about Braun Breaker. Now, he's got his thing going on with this Masked Man, and that seems to be the next storyline arc. But feels like a missed opportunity to build him with the ultra quick Rumble exit. Did they blow it?
I was torn on this. Part of me says it's kind of ridiculous the way that it happened. The other part of me kind of sees what they're cooking, but they've disappointed us so much that you don't know. Me personally, I feel like this is the opportunity that they're getting a chance to move Braun Breaker away from the Vision and make him a huge babyface. Now, hear me out. The Masked Man, everyone can say whoever they want to say who it is. It's clearly Logan Paul. Now, when you think about how Logan Paul joined the Vision, he was kind of bullied. He was bullied. He was beat down. I think he almost caught a tsunami. And then all of a sudden he just joins. So it almost feels like this is long-term storytelling where Logan infiltrated the inside of the Vision. And if you saw the Monday before everything, he was so adamant on Braun Breaker being the world champion more than anyone else. So Logan Paul doing this is going to create a lot of division between the Vision. Bars. I know it's bars. But the thing about this is it gives the opportunity for us to see more of the personality of Braun Breaker and breaking him away from the faction as is to make him an even bigger star, because as great of a star he is as a heel, we haven't seen enough. So that title run may have been short because the fans may have been calling for him to lose that belt immediately within 2 to 3 weeks. I'll say let's ride this out and see what happens. And then that pop when Braun breaks away, it's going to be amazing.
Okay. So that brings us to the end. You already said that it's Logan Paul, even though there have been talks about it being Finn Balor or Austin Theory, and even Jake Paul today, which I know is not him because of Dana White's feelings about the man. I doubt very seriously he'll be able to get into anything. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, he was banned from wrestling events by TKO. So yeah,
I know that.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that happened, and a lot of it has to do with his bad blood with Dana White. Either way it goes, thank you for bringing the unadulterated truth. Well, let me not say unadulterated, the somewhat adulterated.
You know what it is. You was right the first time, hater.
So, it depends on who we're talking about. But yeah, so today, unadulterated truth. On some other days, little questionable. Either way it goes, thank you. And we're going to get into, as you would like to say, the meat and potatoes of the main card. This week, we're covering PFL Road to Dubai. Usman Nurmagomedov against the upstart Brit, Alfie Davis. And another Brit, Nick Ball, looks to defend his title against Brandon Figueroa. Keep it locked. It's the main card.
Yes, welcome back. Let's go ahead and get into the big meat and potato section of what we like to call here at the main card. Now, voice, under the bright lights of Dubai inside the Coca-Cola Arena, the PFL kicks off its year with a main event. It feels less like a fight and more like a collision of belief systems. Now, Usman Nurmagomedov, undefeated, unbothered, and unmoved, returns to the smart cage to defend everything that comes with that last name. And across from him stands Alfie Davis, a man who is not trying to just win a fight, voice. It feels like he's trying to crack an empire. Now, Davis has been talking with the kind of energy that makes you lean forward in your seat. My fighting style is quite unpredictable. When I get into a flow state, start dancing and enjoying myself, things come out. That's not trash talk. That's a man telling you he's chaos in motion. And when he's not intimidated by the mystique of the Dagestani. Now, he said the Dagestanis have this aura, but we all know everyone is human. And he took it a step further, voice. After beating Ghazi last year, he's convinced that he's on a mission. Beat Usman, then call out the final boss. He said, after I beat Usman, he's got to come out of retirement. He said that about Khabib. Now, with Khabib in the building, that's not confidence. It's a man who is talking like he's really on a mission. Now, Usman, meanwhile, he's ice cold. No theatrics, no emotion, just business. Speaking on Alfie, he said, he's just somebody in my way, and I have to finish him. I'm tired of fighting all 5 rounds. For this fight, I prepared something special. Now, here we are. It's unpredictable artist versus the undefeated technician. A man that's trying to topple a dynasty versus a man trying to remind the world why the dynasty exists in the first place. So, voice, is Alfie Davis really about to shake this mountain? Or is Usman about to show him why the mountain just doesn't move and the dynasty is preserved?
It's a lot of drama. I can say that. And there are a lot of question marks. The beauty about fighting is that you really don't know what's going to happen until, excuse me, until the pin drops, the cage door locks, and the thumbs go up and they start the clock. You just don't know. I was speaking with someone recently about my love for fights and the reason why I now watch them live. Back in the day when you had Showtime and HBO running everything, I did not watch a pay-per-view. I watched it the following week when they showed it to me for my subscription costs. I read and saw what happened. Like, oh, okay, now let me watch it and see what happened. But then my boy Harry J came along. Was like, no, we got to see it now. I was like, man, It's like whatever. But then when I start doing that, it changed things up. And really, the fight for me that made the biggest difference was when Holly Holm defeated Ronda Rousey. Ronda had been running through everyone. Holly was a underdog in that fight. But the way that Ronda was acting, I was like, hold on, wait. I need to see this fight because she's not quite herself. And Holly had the perfect game plan for her to not just take the title, but take her out of MMA altogether. Destroy the aura, destroy the mystique, and destroy the woman. She's still bitter about that today. I think we talked about it in a main card not too long ago. With that being said, Alfie is not afraid of Usman. And that's one of the biggest battles is the mental battle. He told Godzi, he's like, okay, yeah, you train with them, but you're not them. And just because you train with them doesn't mean anything. Yeah, you won it before, but that doesn't mean you're going to win it this time. And he did not. He came and he brought everything. Yes, he has that free-flowing state versus the structure that Usman brings to the cage. Now, Alfie feels like his cardio is better, and that's going to be the key to him winning. And he also feels like he's being underestimated. Again, just like what happened with Godzi, which when you hear Usman say things like, man, he's just somebody in my way, it makes you think that he's onto something, being Alfie, with what he's saying. We also know, though, that, like you said, Usman is fighting for legacy. The legacy of the Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov school of combat. You know, he said, look, it's not even about winning. I just hate losing. And when you have someone who's driven like that, that's the kind of drive that pushed Michael Jordan. That's the kind of drive that pushed Kobe Bryant. That is not the drive that LeBron has, although he hates losing too. He just doesn't lose very well. But that is the kind of drive that someone like Bud Crawford has. Not only that, though, Usman is looking to get revenge because Alfie made his name off of Godzi. You know, we talked about Godzi a number of times, and that's because that's how Alfie got a little bit of notoriety. So it's like, look, this is old school martial arts like the movie. You beat somebody in my room, in my gym, in my dojo for the sake and the honor of the Eagle MMA name. I'm a smash.
I mean, Alfie's been talking big time on. You almost believe that he could be true on what he's saying, but of course, this is going against an undefeated Usman, so the X-Man has a big tree to chop down. Make sure that you all tune in. Alfie is actually winner of his last three. This is actually coming off a loss, which I believe was by submission, so it's going to be exciting to see that. Make sure y'all follow the voice so that you can kind of get that understanding of what's happening round by round, if it goes rounds, because Usman said he got something special happening coming up. Now, in that same weekend in Liverpool, with the cold February air hanging just outside the M&S Bank arena, we get another fight that feels like there's issues way before the ink even dried. And these aren't even personal issues, it's all business. Now, Nick Ball, the compact wrecking ball with the title strapped around his waist, he's going to be stepping into his fourth WBA featherweight title defense. And across from him, Brandon Figueroa, a man who doesn't just bring heights into the ring, he's bringing it with a whole different altitude in comparison to the champion. Now, Ball's been talking like a man who's exactly where he always believed he'd be. He said, I wouldn't want it any other way. I like it the hard way. I always knew I was going to become world champion. Now, this is a man who is living every syllable in his statement. He's taken the long road, the hard road, the road that's had potholes and elbows and judges who somehow missed 2 knockdowns against Roy Vargas. But even then, he showed us something. For Nick Ball, the taller they are, the more he seems to enjoy the climb. And now he's got a tall order, literally. Figueroa is 5'8". Ball is 5'2". Maybe might be 5'3" if he's wearing thick socks. But this isn't a terrain for him. He's built a resume of making skyscrapers look like stepping stools. And he knows this fight is a preview of something even bigger. A potential unification bout with Rafael Espinoza. And he stated it. Said, I've always liked fighting tall people. It brings the best out of me, and I want this unification to happen. But Figueroa isn't walking in it blind. He's been here before, too. And he stopped shorter fighters, broken them down, found his rhythm, and then let the damage stack. He recently said, once I get my rhythm, once I find my range, I'm able to hurt my opponents. And he believes Ball is just the next chapter. So when we're left with this voice, it's a champion who thrives on being underestimated and a challenger who thrives on imposing himself. So, voice, the question is simple. What does the tall order really happen when Nick Ball, the chopping block, comes into play?
It's going to be a very interesting fight, and it should be an action-packed fight. Reason being, both of these men come forward and swing. Figueroa likes to just get it in Mexican style, like the Mexican he is, forehead to forehead, just swinging and figuring out who's man enough to take the shots, who's going to withstand the pressure, who's going to come out victorious. We know that pressure does different things to different entities. For pipes, it busts them. For coal, it turns them into diamonds. Both of these men will be under a great deal of pressure in this fight. For Nick Ball, he's always under the pressure of being the undersized man. You say 5'2", he's probably closer to like 5 foot. Whereas Figueroa, because he's fighting at such a low weight, they say 5'8", but he's all of 5'9", if not, taller than that. But Nick Ball, it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with this style of fighter. Not necessarily tall, because he's fought other tall people, but this style of fighter, someone who comes straight ahead, throwing punches all the time, forehead to forehead, because Nick Ball has the right nickname, being Wrecking Ball, because that's how he fights. He literally launches himself off his feet, throws himself into others and punches. It's kind of hard to jump and throw punches when you're standing forehead to forehead. So it's really going to be interesting to see how he deals with that aspect of things, how he deals with someone who's right there on top of him. And will he be able to do the things that he's done with others? For Figueroa, he's under a lot of pressure too, and a different kind of pressure. He'll have that pressure of Nick Ball coming at him the whole time as well. But he's also under the pressure of a career-defining fight. For Nick Ball, not Nick Ball, but for Brandon Figueroa, like, this fight is everything. He's lost twice to the same person. Your boy, Cool Boy, Steph Scooter, Jordan Man, whatever you want to call him. He's lost to him twice. His only defeats. How was he able to beat him? Being a slick fighter, which Nick Ball is not. So how is Nick Ball going to be able to defeat a man who's not been defeated outside of people having really superior boxing skills, not brawling, but boxing skills? And if he were to lose, then that means every time he steps up to the championship level, he's shown that he's not at that level. So he's got a different kind of pressure on him, being Figueroa, because of the stakes of this match. If he's not to be victorious, it could be curtains for the Heartbreak Kid.
Well, I mean, Nick Ball comes with it. You know, he kind of reminds me of, and I say this respectfully, I don't know if you remember Mike Tyson Punch Out.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of Little Mac. That he punches up and he does so much damage. Even in watching some of the highlights from his previous matches, he truly does break fighters down to the very core of themselves so that he can actually get the win. And he's done it successfully. I mean, in 24 fights, he's 23-0-1 with one draw. And he got that one draw actually against Ray Vargas, which we were talking about, which many people feel as though he won. So that's going to be interesting to see. Also, make sure to tune in, watch The Voice, because Voice is going to have the best round by round breakdown on that fight also. Now that is your meat and potatoes for this week, but here at the main card, we like to do something that we call final fights. Now these are your sides. This is your mac and cheese, your yams. This is something that you need to go along with that meat and potatoes so that you can enjoy a great fight weekend. Voice, tell us what we should be looking for in our final fights.
On the MMA end, you have the fight going on in Saudi Arabia. We talked about Usman and Alfie Davis. But also on that fight card, because let me say this, that is for the PFL Lightweight Championship. You have another PFL title on the line on that card when Nurmagomedov takes on Musayev for the vacant PFL welterweight title. That was a little confusing to me. So I was like, okay, I know Nurmagomedov was the last champion in Bellator. I can see him fighting. And he hadn't fought since 2024. Musayev hasn't fought since 2024 either, when he won the PFL tournament for that year welterweight. But it's like, okay, well, what about Thaddeus? He just won the thing. Why is he not fighting for the title? Not sure. I guess he's on deck for the winner between these two, which with them being out as long as they have been, it makes sense to put them together. Again, I just would have thought it would have been Thad Gene. Either way it goes, you've got two champions looking to assert their dominance over one another and stand as the newly minted PFL welterweight champion. Also, at the Apex, you have Mario Bautista taking on Oliveira in a bantamweight headliner. On the boxing end, you got Christian Medina versus Adriel Curiel for Medina's 118-pound WBO title, which is bantamweight for boxing. So you have all these wonderful fights going on, but that's not all that's going on. Of course, there's some matches going on as far as SmackDown and some other things. And there's something, though, specific that happened in the wrestling world that we didn't talk about. The career killer. Yeah, he strikes again. Gunther is back at it. And this time, he put the high-flying AJ Styles to sleep. Now, it seemed a little anticlimactic, somewhat like with what happened to Cena, except AJ wasn't smiling. I don't know. It just leaves you wanting more. It's like, this didn't scratch the itch. Like, it doesn't feel like it's over. And the fact that he didn't leave his gloves in the ring, to me, opens the door for him to do something else. Now, you feel like it's over. He's talked about this being the end for him. And with this taking place at WrestleMania, 10 years after his WWE debut, it seems like it might be done. What do you think? Do you think he's done? Because he didn't leave the gloves. He started to, but he picked them back up.
I personally think he's done. I would be very shocked if he were to come back or to go to another promotion, because one of the things that he said that he's wanted to do once he was done wrestling was actually work with the talent. He wanted to do a lot of the booking. He wanted to also work with NXT wrestlers, which he's done in the past. He's actually done a lot of work with Omos also in the past too. So this is one of those things where it's just kind of like with AJ Styles, I don't think that he's coming back. You saw how emotional he was over these past 2 weeks. Every time he was on Raw, he was on SmackDown. You think about it, as a tribute. It's like, from the early days in TNA where he became the face of a generation. He's a multiple-time world champion, X Division pioneer, Triple Crown winner, to crossing the ocean and capturing the IWGP heavyweight championship with the Bullet Club. AJ just didn't join elite circles. He elevated them. You look at his time with Fortune and the Bullet Club and the OC, every faction he touched became a movement. And I think that the plan for him is to continue to grow the current talent, much in the same way that HBK did, because he has a love for the business. So you think about his WWE arrival. He didn't just arrive. He came as the guy. He was the two-time WWE champion, a United States champion, Intercontinental champion, Grand Slam. He made every match feel like a main event up until his very last. And he made every opponent look better. Now, through every chapter and every bell, every faction, one truth stayed constant. Phenomenal wasn't just a nickname. It was a standard. So today, while, it just recently happened, as AJ steps away from the ring, we don't just want to close a book. We want to honor an era, an artist, a leader, a once-in-a-generational performer who gave everything he had everywhere he went. So AJ Styles, thank you for the moments, the matches, the memories, and for showing the world what phenomenal truly looks like. And I hope to see your name on some championship bookings in WWE in the future.
Okay. With the working relationship that they have with TNA, I see him being a Shawn Michaels of TNA. That to me seems like the best fit for him. Go back where you made your bones and make those people better. But he could have signed on again with WWE to do that. But who knows? The future's still definitely bright for AJ Styles, and it'll be interesting to see where the story takes him.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all again for tuning in for another week of the main card with these handsome faces and these debonair gentlemen that you're looking at. Now, we are the people that you want to see, but if you can't see us, you can always subscribe to us on your favorite podcast and take us wherever you want to go. MTMV Sports, we're here. Apple, Spotify, any place where you listen to any kind of audio, you can take us with you. And make sure that you like, share, and subscribe this with your friends and your family. Make sure that you check out some of our other offerings, including Full 94, Timeout, not the same team. C. Micah and my man Rob. You got the Red and Bowl with Will Smith. You got HBCU with Miss Melva, who's always out doing amazing work. So make sure that you all tap in with us. And thank you for coming on this journey with us. Boys, take us out.
Until next time, fight the good fight.
What's going on, family? It's your man, Wildress.
And it's your man, the myth, the legend, the voice.
And you just finished watching the main card on the MTMV network.
Yeah, for more great shows just like this, smash the subscribe button and keep fighting the good fight.